Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. My name is Lisa Boulay, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate this morning. Normally, if you would like more information about FirstU, it would be available at the welcome table at the back of the pews. However, while the FirstU building is closed because of the COVID-19 virus, you may instead contact us through email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. I repeat, for more information, please email us at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. After this service and future services, our normal hospitality hour will be replaced by a virtual getting together. If you would like to join us for hospitality hour on Zoom, please see our website, www.firstunitarianottawa.ca, or our weekly email newsletter, the EUU, for information on how to do so. Whatever your heritage, whatever your faith, whomever you love, however you identify, today you are a part of our spiritual community. Welcome. We hope you come back soon.
Thank you, Lisa. Bonjour. Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Patricia Guthmann Haresch, the minister of the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. Although the doors to our building are closed to do our part in preventing the spread of disease, we are still a vibrant and active congregation with open minds, spirits, and hearts. This morning, I welcome you into my home and the homes of our music director and our director of religious exploration, and this morning's worship associate, Lisa. Thank you for welcoming all of us into your home. It's a beautiful thing to think that even though we are in separate places, protecting ourselves and others by staying away from a crowd, here we are together online, listening, connecting, and soon singing together. I hope this moment finds you well. A few more announcements. While the building is closed, our staff are working remotely and monitoring emails during usual working hours from home. But phone calls will be checked less regularly, so do please email. And you'll hear from us more quickly through email. As we won't be seeing each other in person, it is more important than ever to be signed up to receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter. Check out our Facebook page and our webpage for notices and updates. Our online calendar is as full as ever. Friday's EUU included information on our 9 a.m. Sunday morning forums, the weekly religious exploration lesson, and very importantly, information on how to connect with this year's annual general meeting, which will be virtual. At the AGM, voting members will be also voting to accept the 2019 audited financial statements, so you can learn also in the EUU about the informational sessions on our finances last year. Also in the EUU, learn how to acquire masks, about virtual summer choir nights, virtual check-ins with the men's group, youth group, and UU Kids, how to help organizations in the community during this COVID time. Do check out our EUU. If you are reluctant to, or if you're having any trouble connecting with Zoom, please let us know, and we are ready, or we have a ready team to help you figure it out. You can email zoominfo@firstunitarianottawa.ca. Also, do you know that you can phone in and don't need a device if you'd like to be part of one of our Zoom conversations? that's it for the announcements. As I'm speaking today about Sufi mysticism, I read a short poem that translator Coleman Barks calls Begin, by the 13th century Sufi mystic Rumi. This is now. Now is all there is. Don't wait for then. Strike the spark, light the fire. Sit at the beloved's table. Feast with gusto, drink your fill. Then dance the way branches of jasmine and cypress dance in a spring wind. The green earth is your cloth. Tailor your robe with dignity and grace. May it be so. Let us sing the Chalice Song.
Chalice, chalice, burning bright, help remind us with your light of how we'd like to live each day with love and truth helping lead the way.
Hi everyone, it's Neo, your Director of Religious Exploration. Hope everyone is doing fabulous today. The story I'm going to share with you today is called Mullah Nasruddin, What Clever People Do. One fine morning, Mullah Nasruddin was wandering around the lake. The cool breeze was creating ripples on the surface of the water. Green grass and algae grew on the fringes of the lake. The air was filled with birds chirping. Mullah sat down beside the lake enjoying nature. He collected small pebbles and started tossing them into the water, causing more ripples. The fish in the water darted around, trying to avoid the pebbles. Mullah was lost in thought when he heard ducks quacking. He looked up to see a flock of ducks swimming close by the lake. Mullah thought to himself, it would be nice to catch a duck or two for dinner. He got up and started wading into the water to get closer to the ducks. Mullah was very excited as he thought about enjoying duck soup for dinner. The ducks saw Mullah approaching and moved away, but Mullah kept moving towards them, determined to have some duck soup. Mullah launched towards the ducks, but they flew away. A surprised Mullah slipped and went under the surface of the water. As he tried to gulp in some air to breathe, he gulped in water instead. He finally marched out of the lake coughing and sat down on the shore. He was determined to catch a duck or two. Even though I failed the first time, I should try again. I shouldn't lose hope. But the ducks were more cautious this time and had a different plan. All of the ducks gathered at the center of the lake and were not moving an inch. As Mullah had no option, he got into the water and moved to the center of the lake. The ducks moved to the opposite corner. After several failed attempts, Mullah got tired and lay down by the side of the lake and tried to catch his breath. After some time, he got up and sat down by the lakeside again. He took out his bag and pulled out a roll of bread. He dipped the bread in the water and began to eat it. Some people from the village close by were walking past the lake when they saw Mullah dipping his bread in the lake and eating it. A man asked Mullah, "Mullah, what are you doing?" Mullah replied, "I'm having duck soup." The man looked at Mullah and asked bemused, "Duck soup?" The people in the crowd looked at each other. Mullah looked at their confusion and laughed and answered, "This is what clever people do. One who accepts what she or he has is always happy." Hope you enjoyed that story. Wishing everybody a fabulous Sunday, and I will see you at coffee hour. Bye.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of believing. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of believing. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of believing. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come yet again, come.
This is the time in the service when we are drawn closer to the heart of love at our center and hold those both near and far, loved ones and strangers in our hearts. Words from Hafiz, the 14th century Persian poet. We have not come into this exquisite world to hold ourselves hostage from love. Run, my dear, from anything that may not strengthen your precious budding wings. Run like hell, my dear, from anyone likely to put a sharp knife into the sacred, tender vision of your beautiful heart. For we have not come here to confine our wondrous spirits, but to experience ever and ever more deeply our divine courage, freedom, and light. Today I place stones in the water that some of you have asked me to place for those you are thinking of, joys and concerns and sorrows. A stone for those who have the period of fear, when they think they might have coronavirus, but then the relief of discovering it was something else. A stone for Roxanne and her family, whose dad went to the Thunder Bay Hospital last week, but thank goodness it was just overnight and he is home again. Now more than perhaps ever, we are so grateful when our loved ones return from the hospital. We hope, Roxanne, that he is doing well. And also 2 stones, one for a joy and one for a sorrow. There are different choices that the leaders of nations can make when peaceful protesters converge on their nation's capital. For example, a stone of sorrow, when they might barricade themselves behind unidentified forces that may or may not be legally deployed, or a joy, when they might humbly go down on one knee and join their people in a righteous cause. Both happened last week. A stone for the United States and all the world, that we may remember that all people have dignity and worth, no matter the color of their skin, their abilities, who they love, their socioeconomic status, their beliefs, or politics. May we be in a moment when once again we might be in a great turning towards peace, reconciliation, healing, nonviolence, and justice. May we hold the joys and sorrows of this gathered community and the sadness and wonders of this earth in our hearts and join together in a moment of shared silence. Let us be still together.
A reading adapted from Daniel Ladinsky's translation of If It's Not Too Dark, a poem by the 14th century Persian poet Hafiz. Go for a walk if it's not too dark. Get some fresh air, try to smile. Say something kind to a safe-looking stranger if one happens by. Always exercise your heart's knowing. You might as well attempt something real along this path. Take your spouse or lover into your arms, the way you did when you first met. Let tenderness pour from your eyes, the way the sun gazes warmly on the earth. Play a game with some children. Extend yourself to a friend. Sing a few ribald songs to your pets and plants. Why not let them get drunk and wild? Let's toast every rung you've climbed on life's ladder. Whisper, I love you, I love you. To the whole mad world, let's stop reading about the divine. We will never understand. Jump to your feet, wave your fists, threaten and warn the whole universe that your heart can no longer live without real love.
Although I'm speaking about Sufi mysticism today, I'll begin with the words of the 19th century transcendentalist Ralph Waldo Emerson. Here's his words. Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related. Kind of sounds like the interdependent web of all existence, yes? But I'll say it again. Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty, to which every part and particle is equally related. It is at once so clearly mystical, these words, rooted in what he had learned from the poets and gurus of the East, India, and Persia. Those familiar with Ralph Waldo Emerson know that he came from Unitarian roots and was at a time a Unitarian minister until he left the ministry in the confines of religious institutions and became a transcendentalist. The Persian poet Hafiz was a favorite of his. Some words from Hafiz. Love sometimes wants to do us a great favor, hold us upside down and shake all the nonsense out. Ever since happiness heard your name, it has been running through the streets trying to find you. I wish I could show you, when you are lonely or in the darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. But before I speak about the Sufis, as I think this actually will end a kind of a series on mysticism that I've been doing, just a few general notes about mystical experience. So often I think we think of mystical experiences like there's something extraordinary, phenomenal, perhaps an over-the-top religious experience, like the sky splits open or something that happens to a religious mystic or disciplined practitioner. But it needn't be. I suspect that in each of our lives, we at one point or another, or even more than once, have experienced great bliss, a mind-altering experience, or life-altering epiphany. Many of us at times have felt a deep connection to the earth, to another person, to a group of people or creatures, whether two-legged or four-legged, to the universe and beyond. Perhaps some might say God or the goddess or the divine. Perhaps at that time it felt like time stood still, that you experienced an aha and could never see the world the same again. You might not even be able to put what exactly happened into words. The Buddhist monk, poet, and peace activist Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "I like to walk alone on country paths, rice plants and wild grasses on both sides, putting each foot down on the earth in mindfulness, knowing that I walk on the wondrous earth. In such moments, existence is a miraculous and mysterious reality. People usually consider walking on water or in thin air a miracle. But to walk on earth, every day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize. A blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, the black, curious eyes of a child, our own two eyes. All is miracle." In the 70s and 80s, I remember talking and hearing a lot about peak experiences. Are you familiar with this term? I think this term has become quite common, but it stems from the work of psychologist Abraham Maslow. Maslow found that ordinary people, like his college students and colleagues, would use the language of the mystics to speak of grand experiences that weren't necessarily the kind that we would label religious. Peak experiences or epiphanies, as I was just talking about, described during an encounter with nature or even on a crowded street, listening to a certain song or even preparing dinner for the family. A biographer of Maslow's, Dr. Edward Hoffman, notes that as a result of his work, Maslow observed that we needn't be great religious mystics or even practitioners to undergo an unforgettable epiphany during daily living. Nor as a corollary, Maslow asserted, is it necessary to meditate in a Tibetan monastery or travel exotically to gain such a wondrous encounter? As Maslow poetically observed, The great lesson from the true mystics is that the sacred is in the ordinary, that it is to be found in one's daily life, in one's neighbors, friends, and family, in one's own backyard. Just like the Buddhist monks walk among the rice plants, or when you and I experience peak moments. Dr. Hoffman adds that shortly before Maslow died suddenly from a heart attack in 1970, he began developing exercises to help people achieve these plateau states of consciousness or peak experiences, rather than waiting for what seems to be spontaneous, out of the blue, phenomenal experiences. Maslow's exercises might have included gazing at a tiny flower intensely and with total attention, or gazing at a familiar family member or friend and imagining you might lose them soon to death and having that intense feeling. Such methods, Maslow proposed, could serve to break the dull, habitual way we relate to others and help us to see the world once more with freshness and delight. This is true of the Sufis as well, those Islamic mystics who certainly help us to see the world once more with freshness and delight. You've heard their words today in the music. Many of you have heard of the poet Rumi before. Perhaps you knew that UU hymn, "Come, come, whoever you are." Those words were inspired by Rumi's words. It's pretty phenomenal when you think of it, that Rumi from the 13th century, a 13th century Persian, is such a popular poet of the 21st century. In this day and age, we think of the Sufis, Rumi, as an Islamic mystic, not being within the mainstream of Islam. Professor Azim Nanji notes that some people call Rumi's great opus, the Mathnawi, the Quran in the Persian tongue. I'll never forget, I was watching a documentary on the version of the American Idol, only I think it was maybe in Afghanistan or someplace like that. And the movie was supposed to be about the politics of women and things like that. But I got to hear the popular songs. The popular songs about love really are rooted in the poetry of the Sufis. You can tell, though you can make those connections. Rumi appeals across religions, time, geographies, as UU Minister Sandra Fee suggests, across borders and boundaries of all sorts. This is what Rumi wrote of himself. "I am neither a Muslim nor a Hindu. I'm not Christian, Zoroastrian, nor Jew. I'm neither of the West nor the East, not of the ocean, nor an earthly beast. I am neither a natural wonder, nor from the stars yonder, neither flesh of dust, nor wind in spire, nor water in veins, nor made of fire. I'm neither an earthly carpet, nor a gems terrestrial, nor am I confined to creation, nor the throne celestial. Not of ancient promises, nor of future prophecy, not of hellish anguish, nor of paradisic ecstasy, neither the progeny of Adam nor Eve, nor of the world of heavenly make-believe. My place is the no place, my image is without face, neither of body nor the soul. I am of the divine whole. I eliminated duality with joyous laughter, saw the unity of here and hereafter. Unity is what I sing. Unity is what I speak. Unity is what I know. Unity is what I seek. In this world with love, I am so drunk. No distinctions for Rumi. For Rumi, clearly, all is united in the divine whole. No particular allegiances outside of this grand relationship of unity. Not even in religion. No distinctions. Perhaps not even in matter, sky and earth, heaven and hell. All is one. Rather than these every once in a while peak moments, Rumi's desire was to remain as much as possible in this place of union with the divine, deep comradeship with his fellow and sister seekers, all of creation, always drunk on love and creation. Like Thich Nhat Hanh, to Rumi everything is a miracle, a lesson, an opportunity. An international figure who brings an understanding of Rumi and Sufism to the West is Kabir Helminski. I love that name, Kabir Helminski, who explains, if Sufism recognizes one central truth, it is the unity of being, that we are not separate from the divine. The unity of being is a truth with which our age is in an excellent position to appreciate. Emotionally, because of the shrinking of our world through communications and transportation, and intellectually, because of developments in modern physics, we are one. One people, one ecology, one universe, one being. Sufism is about realizing the current of love that runs through human life, the unity behind forms. A good message right now, especially, yes? Helminski continues, if Sufism has a central method, it is the development of presence and love. Only presence can awaken us from our enslavement to the world and our own psychological processes. And only love, cosmic love, can comprehend the divine. Love is the highest activation of intelligence, for without love, nothing great would be accomplished, whether spiritually, artistically, socially, or scientifically. So this principle of unity and practice of presence and love can be seen in this dance of the whirling dervishes. Kind of makes you feel drunk when you watch them, right? And just in the moment. Rumi left a legacy of words, a legacy of love amongst his followers that spread throughout the world. But it is also said that the order of whirling dervishes originated with Rumi, that he was the teacher of this dance. He wrote, "Dance when you're broken open. Dance if you've torn the bandage off. Dance in the middle of fighting. Dance in your blood." You know, he was serious about dancing. And he said, "Dance when you are perfectly free." The ritual dance of whirling dervishes seems to express everything Rumi wrote about in movement, rhythm, prayer. Now it may look free and careless, this dance of the dervishes, the Sima as it's called. It's actually quite formal and choreographed, and you have to study it for a long time. I mean, as you're whirling, how do you keep your focus and this trance-like focus and your balance? It begins with a prayer, followed by chanting, then round they go. Whether watching or participating, it's an overwhelming experience of celebration and unity and really beauty. Although Rumi founded a life centered in unity with all in the divine, a life to be centered in love, he also wrote the path of love is not easy. In a familiar piece often called The Guest House, Rumi writes, "This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows, who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whomever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from above. Everything that comes to us has been sent as a guide, whether joy or sorrow. Reverend Sandra Fees observes, each experience in each person, according to Rumi, is a revelation of the divine. We all may know it in one way or another, but it doesn't always feel that way. It takes a lot of courage to be a guest house, letting it all come in and letting it all be released. Throughout the ages, it seems that the mystics, whether Sufi or Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, whatever faith or persuasion, call us to experience life deeply, to see the miraculous that lies beyond the mundane and the heartbreak of life. That in the end we are all connected, all one, connected by a power, a love, a current that is beyond our understanding. But it's a clear presence nonetheless. Hafiz's poem, With That Moon Language, admits something. Everyone you see, you say to them, love me. Of course you do not do this out loud, otherwise someone would call the cops. Still though, think about this great pull in us to connect. Why not become the one who lives with a full moon in each eye, that is always saying with the sweet moon language what every other eye in the world is dying to hear? Isn't the word love? The practice of a mystic, whether meditation or dance or prayer or yoga or fasting, is a practice to stay awake to the miraculous, be receptive to love and amazement. Oh, that we may all stay awake in the realization that all is connected, all is one. So along this line, I'll close with Rumi's words. On a day when the wind is perfect, the sail just needs to open and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. This is a breeze that can enter the soul. This love I know plays a drum. Arms move around me. Who can contain their self before my beauty? Peace is wonderful, but ecstatic dance is more fun. On a day when the wind is perfect, the sail just needs to open and the love starts. Today may it be such a day. May we make it so. May it be so.
This is the time in our service when we usually accept the offering. You may go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you might keep up with your pledge or to make a donation during this time. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. Let us sing a new song to learn, Song for All Beings.
be safe. May all things everywhere be free. May all things be happy. May all things be safe. May all things everywhere be free. May all things be happy. May all things be safe. May all things everywhere be free.
It's not hard to fall in love with the poetry and words of the Sufi mystics and Persian poets. And so for our closing words as we extinguish the chalice, words from the Persian poet Hafiz. Leave the familiar for a while. Let your senses and bodies stretch out like a welcomed season onto the meadows and shores and hills. Open up to the roof. Make a new watermark on your excitement and love. Like a blooming night flower, bestow your vital fragrance of happiness and giving upon our intimate assembly. Change rooms in your mind for a day. All the hemispheres in existence lie beside an equator in your heart. Greet yourself in your 1,000 other forms as you mount the hidden tide and travel back home. All the hemispheres in heaven are sitting around a fire chatting while stitching themselves together into the great circle inside of you. Think about this poem as you sit in your four walls, yes? Change rooms in your mind for a day. All the hemispheres in existence lie beside an equator in your heart. Travel back home. Anyway, I just love that poem. I'll extinguish the chalice. Let us sing, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart
Some more words from Rumi. Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. Go in peace, go in joy, go in love, and may all be well.